At a power plant on the city's edge, workers are celebrating a colleague's birthday when something odd appears on the security monitors. A shadow is moving through the ductwork, so one worker goes to investigate, only to be attacked by a strange creature. He tries to escape back to the office, but more monsters follow him, slaughtering everyone inside. When an eclipse blocks out the sun, the creatures emerge across the globe, killing millions and leveling cities. News outlets call it Judgment Day, and soldiers are deployed to fight them in a battle that lasts for the entire eclipse. The war costs countless lives and drains massive resources. Eventually, every monster is wiped out, and humanity begins to rebuild. They construct protective facilities called gates in case the creatures return. 15 years later, life has returned to normal. Dave works as a janitor for a poorly paying company, even when the job requires him to crawl into ducts to remove dead animals. At the local school, Laura teaches and is friendly with her coworker Milton, who won't stop asking her out. She divorced Dave years ago and is still dealing with old wounds, but today she finally accepts Milton's offer. Meanwhile, their son Tyler meets his girlfriend Mary, who's uneasy about the upcoming eclipse. Tyler reassures her it's fine, explaining that many eclipses have passed in the last 15 years without incident. Elsewhere, Officer Garrett gets a call from gate personnel about strong seismic readings, with clearance given for containment. When Garrett arrives, he inspects the systems until a power box blows, knocking out an entire grid. Back in the city, Dave stops by Laura's place to pick up Tyler. While Tyler plays video games, his parents get into a heated discussion. Laura was pregnant with Tyler during the last disaster, and Dave wasn't there for her, something she still resents. Tyler overhears, cuts in, and leaves with Dave. Later that night, Dave receives a call from Uncle Ted, convinced that a new Judgment Day will happen tomorrow. He urges Dave to bring the family to his shelter before the eclipse starts. Tyler watches the news and is disturbed to see millions of dead fish washing ashore worldwide. The same warning sign from 15 years ago. At that same moment, the first creature shows up at the gate, creeping up the stairs in silence. Meanwhile, Laura calls Dave after seeing the news, wanting Tyler home because Milton has booked a spot in a shelter. Dave insists Tyler should stay with him, sparking an argument. During this, Tyler gets a text and quietly slips out. When Dave goes to check on him, he finds only a note with Mary's number. Milton hurries Laura, warning that the shelter is filling quickly. After Laura explains Tyler is missing, Milton uses special software to trace his phone to a skate park. Tyler is there with Mary, who's scared because her parents are gone. He promises he's nothing like his dad and will never abandon her. Suddenly, a piercing scream rings out, and massive flocks of birds swarm the sky, another omen of Judgment Day. Panic erupts as park-goers scatter, and the roads soon clog with fleeing families. Dave gets stuck in standstill traffic, but when he spots the birds, he abandons his car to search on foot. At the gate, workers hear unsettling noises before a creature bursts in and attacks a man. Garrett and the soldiers fire on it, but regular bullets have no effect. Moments later, Dave reaches Tyler and Mary just as citywide sirens start blaring. Laura arrives with Milton, picking them up in his car. With about an hour until the eclipse, the city is in chaos as people try to flee. Traffic jams choke every route. While stuck, they see cultists walking between vehicles, scaring drivers with painted faces and doomsday chants. When Milton spots a gap, he speeds through and gets them to the shelter. But the scene there is just as frantic, with desperate crowds pleading for entry while the military announces only women and children can enter. Dave tells Tyler to go in with Laura and Maddie. But once inside, Tyler changes his mind, runs back, and tells his father he'll never leave it behind. The women follow him outside, and just then, the panel announces the shelter has reached full capacity. The group rushes back to the car, debating their next move. Dave suggests heading to Ted's hideout in the desert, while Milton proposes hiding in the school since it's closer and has a basement. Soon, they're stuck in another traffic jam. They decide to abandon the car when an earthquake shakes the area, right as an eclipse begins, plunging the world into darkness. The monsters start emerging to attack. They overrun the city, slaughtering people mercilessly, just like they did 15 years ago. Dave insists they have to get out of the city and offers to drive. Milton refuses, insisting it's his car and claiming he knows how to save everyone. An argument escalates into a fistfight, but it's cut short when a flying monster swoops in and carries Milton away. As Laura screams, Dave shoves her into the car, takes the wheel, and drives to get his family out of the city. While passing through a canal, they discuss where the creatures might come from, questioning if they were sent by God. Before long, the fuel runs low, and Dave decides to find another vehicle. He stops beside a cluster of abandoned cars and begins searching them, only to find bodies inside. When he finally spots an empty one, he climbs in, only for a hidden driver in the back seat to grab him, revealing a monster is close by. The creature prowls between the cars, looking for prey. When it passes near the two men, it luckily doesn't notice them and moves on. It soon finds a body and starts devouring it, giving Dave a chance to quietly roll the car back toward Laura and the kids. Once the vehicles are side by side, Laura and the children carefully move into the new car. But despite their caution, the monster notices and charges. An old man steps out and throws salt at it, briefly slowing the creature before it leaps on him and begins to eat him alive. Using the distraction, the family escapes, taking a deserted road through the mountains as swarms of monsters pour toward the city from every direction. They finally reach Ted's hideout, a reinforced concrete bunker. The doors are locked and cameras are mounted on the roof, but no one responds as they shout and pound on the entrance, begging to be let in. Unseen by them, Ted watches from inside at his computer while someone holds a gun to his head. A moment later, a horde of monsters appears in the mountains, charging toward the shelter. As panic sets in, Dave grabs a crowbar to defend his family, until the bunker door swings open and they rush inside. They meet Ted and his wife Stella, and are shocked to also see Garrett. Ted explains that Garrett's father was his old war buddy, and after being separated from his unit, Garrett came here for help. Dave notices Garrett is armed, making him wary. Over a shared meal, they keep glancing at the monitors, where the monsters are relentlessly trying to break in, leaving everyone on edge. The radio offers no help. Only screams are heard. Maddie asks how the monsters find them, and Garrett explains they respond to light and heat, though he wonders if they can also see people's souls. He recalls surviving the first Judgment Day by hiding in a tank of salt sludge while working a refinery during the invasion. He buried himself underground and was forced to listen as the monsters slaughtered all his friends and colleagues. While Garrett is caught up telling his story, Ted quietly signals Dave to grab and hide a knife. None of them realize that outside, a centipede-like creature is squeezing through a small gap in the mesh over the window. Garrett then declares he'll take the first watch. Ted suggests they stay up and play cards instead of sleeping, giving Dave a pointed look. But Garrett notices, pulls his gun from its holster, and makes Dave drop the knife, explaining that Ted didn't want him there in the first place. It was Stella who felt sorry for him. Having survived once before, Garrett is determined to do so again at any cost. Suddenly, Tyler lunges at Garrett, trying to take his gun, but Garrett easily shoves him back. An argument breaks out, but Maddie cuts it short when she notices they can't hear the monsters anymore. That's when the centipede-like creature leaps from the wall and bites Stella. Ted yanks it off her neck and throws salt on it, while Dave punches Garrett to grab his gun and tries to shoot the thing. The smaller monster dodges every bullet, but Maddie finishes it off with a knife. Afterward, they tie Garrett up and try to stop Stella's bleeding, but she needs proper medical help. Then they see on the monitor that a massive beast is slamming into the main door, trying to break in. Dave says they need to leave, but Ted refuses, saying Stella won't make it outside. Stella urges him to go and reminds him about the underground passage beneath the bunker that leads to the mountains. Garrett offers his car, claiming it has a full tank and that he can get them to the gate. The group hesitates until Garrett points out that it's in his own interest to help. They agree to go. Before leaving, Ted reveals his stash of weapons, and everyone arms themselves. As they move into the tunnel, Dave opens the main door and blows up the first beast that enters before joining them. Once the tunnel is sealed, they emerge outside, only to see that Stella is struggling to walk. She's starting to turn into a monster herself. Later, while walking down a road, Tyler spots a motionless creature. It looks dead, so Maddie reaches for it, but Tyler stops her. She turns, and suddenly a long tentacle shoots from a hole in the ground, wrapping around her legs and trying to drag her under. Maddie screams as Tyler and Dave hold on, and Laura fires at the tentacle until it lets go. Once Maddie is freed, they run. Garrett convinces Dave to untie him so he can help if they're attacked again. What no one knows is that Dave is hiding a bite on his arm. Eventually, they reach the mountain's peak and see the city burning. They find Garrett's car, but it won't start. Monsters appear on the mountaintop and charge toward them. Garrett frantically works the ignition while Stella grabs Ted's gun. ready to end things before she changes completely. Ted wrestles the weapon away and pleads with her to get in the car. Dave pulls Ted back, knowing there's no escape. Stella stays behind as the monsters close in and they tear her apart. Garrett finally gets the engine running and they speed away, leaving the creatures behind. On the road, they pick up a radio broadcast saying most shelters have been destroyed. They reach the gate, but there's no answer on the radio and the door is already open. They step inside cautiously, finding no power. Garrett and Dave go to restore electricity while the others search for a first aid kit, having just discovered a wound on Ted's back. The others tend to Ted, while Dave works on restoring the power. Garrett explains that the gate had been set up for a second invasion, and large amounts of salt water were pumped in, but the hole went too deep. When the lights come back on, Dave and Garrett start heading back. Suddenly, Garrett feels something wet on his hand and looks up to see blood dripping from a body above. At that moment, something in the shadows roars, prompting them to rush back to the group to figure out what to do next, as only 2 hours remain until the eclipse ends. Garrett suggests hiding in a chemical warehouse since its doors are blast-proof. As soon as they leave the infirmary, a mutated human ambushes Garrett. He and Dave fight it off together, managing to kill it, but the noise draws the attention of more creatures. In panic, Garrett slips through a door and shuts it behind him, abandoning the rest. He injects himself to slow the transformation. Meanwhile, Dave leads his family into another room and spots sprinkler lines, meaning the tank must be on the other side of the wall. This sparks a plan. He will reroute the salt water through the pipes to keep the monsters away. Before leaving, Laura kisses him. Just then, the door bursts open, forcing the family to flee. Dave crawls through the vents and spots a monster feeding in one of the rooms. Reaching the tank, he quietly opens the valve, letting the salt water flow into the system. As he climbs back up, the creature senses him, chases, and grabs his leg. Dave scatters salt in its face, making it crumble to dust. Meanwhile, the rest are surrounded, and Tyler opens fire. Over the loudspeaker, Dave tells them to trigger the fire alarm. As the monsters close in, Ted orders Tyler to protect the family, then charges at the creatures with an axe. Several leap on him at once, killing him instantly. Tyler keeps firing until his ammo runs out, then sets off the alarm. Salt water rains down, dissolving the monsters into dust as they scream in pain. At that moment, the eclipse ends and all the monsters retreat to their realm through the gate, shaking the ground. Laura and the kids try to escape, but run into Garrett, now losing control from the infection. He shoots Tyler in the shoulder, but before firing again, Dave appears and knocks him out with a fire extinguisher. As Dave rejoins his family, a massive creature emerges from below and devours Garrett whole. The family retreats to the medical unit, mixing salt in a cylinder. When the monster smashes through the door, they hurl it at the creature, killing it instantly. Afterward, they step outside to find the world in ruins, but they are determined to begin rebuilding.